Hello students, in this video we are going to study about the exercise of lesson number 3, that is agents of erosion. The half part, that is the starting 3-4 exercises we have already solved. You can see it on the channel. Now the remaining part of this exercise we are solving. Now the question number 4 is short notes on. So the first is attrition. So what is attrition? Attrition is basically done because of wind. It is done because of rivers and ocean waves. Okay. Now what is the thing which we can see in attrition? All the rocks, they dash each other. The pebbles, they bump each other. And they break down into small fragments. So that is called as attrition. Okay. So that material is reduced in a small size. And later on, these materials, they become more round because of continuous polishing. These materials, they get more rounded up and a thin layer is created of alluvial soil. Okay, so the layer of soft rock between the two layers of hard rocks is weathered fast and the rocks are broken into smaller particles. So the attrition of sedimentary rocks takes place faster as compared to the attrition of metamorphic rock. The sedimentary rock consists of small sediments, and because of that these rocks are broken down easily into smaller pieces because of wind, river, ocean waves. Hence they get easily broken down into granules. Hence sedimentary rocks, they break down easily more than metamorphic or igneous rocks. Now the work of rivers in hilly areas and human activities. Now we all know that on the hilly areas, the human residents or human settlements are very low. Why? Because here the elevation is totally high. There is no flat plain surface. Because of that, the fertility of the soil is very much low. The climatic conditions are totally unpredictable, and because of steep slopes, there is no transportation medium, there is no roads, modes of communications over there. Okay, so as soon as the stream begins from the origin, the erosion starts, and at the areas where there is mountain, the river gets a higher speed. Okay, so there are the landforms like George, V-shaped valley, waterfalls which are formed, and it is basically seen that on such places the human settlement or human habitation is totally limited, or it is totally sparse. Okay, so if there is no human over there, then the development of such places are also not taking place. Here the people are most probably engaged in the activities like animal husbandry, wood cutting, hunting. Okay, such type of things or occupations are seen on the hilly areas. And tourism, nowadays tourism has been flourished in various types of places where the climatic conditions are very much favorable and attractive. Okay, let us move to question number 3, conditions necessary for the work of wind. Okay, on a global level, wind is effective as an agent of erosion than the running water, groundwater, waves and glaciers. We all know constantly there is a wind. Okay, but it is very less effective. The velocity which wind has, the energy which wind has is comparatively less effective than the water, waves, groundwater and glaciers. So what are the things which are very much necessary for wind to become effective? Okay, so the things like aridity. Okay, the first thing is aridity, which increases the rate of evaporation. Okay, so basically wherever in the air, if the moisture is more, definitely the wind cannot blow fast and the wind cannot carry more. Okay, so the rate of evaporation should be more than the rainfall, precipitation or snowfall. Okay, next is sparse vegetation. Okay, there should be no obstacle in between. There should be absence of trees, so that wind should continuously blow if it wants to create any type of erosion. Next is presence of loose material at the surface. The material should not be very heavy. It should not be very large in size. It should be very loose material. Okay, a wind velocity is high enough to pick up and move the sediments. Strong winds blow frequently in arid region. and these movements of wind pick up loose surface materials and transport them along with the wind currents. Deflation occurs when the wind blowing fast enough in swelling motion over an area of loose sediments. It is available to pick up and remove small fragments of rocks. This type of erosion can produce shallow depression which can vary in diameter from few centimeters to few kilometers, and such type of deflations are called as deflation halos. Okay, so this is about the deflation halos. Now we'll move further with distinguish between. Okay, the first distinguish between is attrition and abrasion. Okay, what is attrition? Attrition is when the rocks and pebbles bump into each other and break down into small fragments. Okay, when they dash each other, when they break down into small fragments, then we call it as attrition. Abrasion involves the scratching and polishing of the surface or bed rocks by the particles which are moving onto it. Okay, whenever there is some rock and when there is a polishing done on that rock, on the surface of the rock, then that process is called as abrasion. So, abrasion affects the surface along which the material moves. Okay, and attrition relates to the material that moves. Okay, so these points have been shuffled a bit. You can write it later on. Okay, properly. Next is U-shaped and V-shaped valleys. Now, what is the difference over here? We all know the shape of U and the shape of V. So, U-shaped valley basically has a U shape and V-shaped valley has a V shape. Okay, so if there is a U shape, then it is basically because the materials or the agents, they erode the side walls as well as the bottom of the valley. ठीक है, side को भी वो erode कर देते हैं, bottom को भी erode कर देते हैं, then the valley becomes U. ठीक है, अभी V shape में क्या होता है कि consequently the bed is less eroded, however the erosion along the banks and slopes of the valley increases. ठीक है, erosion की तरफ ज़्यादा at the banks it gets more eroded. Okay, so because of that V shaped is created. Next, it is formed due to erosional work of glacier. U-shaped valley is created because erosional work of glaciers. Now, the next difference is between stalactite and stalagmite. Okay, we all know that these are the landforms which are formed underground. Okay, and they are basically created during the karst topography. So, what are stalactites? These are the dripping water leaves behind a deposition of calcium carbonate. So, water dries in these caves at the ceiling, and water saturated with calcium carbonate dripping onto the floor of the cave builds up similar but more massive structure, and the structure growing from the ceiling is called as stalactites. Okay, next is what? When the dripping water, again it starts depositing the calcium carbonate, but here the case is what? It is growing at the ground, so this is called as stalagmites. So this process causes accumulation of calcium carbonate, and this causes the precipitation of calcium carbonate. Okay, so one is at ceiling and one is at the base. So there is nothing difference in other components. Both are made up of calcium carbonate. When stalactites and stalagmites they meet each other, then there is a formation of pillar. Next is tributaries and distributaries. Now, when the river that does not meet oceanic body but it has its own existence, then that is called as tributary. So, Yamuna is a tributary to Ganga. And what are distributaries? Distributaries are formed at the mouth of the river. When the river starts flowing, it is obstructed with large amount of sediments. Why? Because of the deposition. So, these sediments, it blocks the water of the river. Okay, and because of that the water it breaks down into various types of channels, and these channels are called as distributaries. Okay, so basically in the case of tributaries it is an agent of erosion, and in the case of distributaries it is formed because of the depositional work of the river. Tributaries are seen in the early stages. Okay, These are the early stages of the river, and distributaries are seen when the river becomes very big and it starts breaking out into various channels, okay, as the water content increases. So hence these are called as old rivers. Okay. Now let us move to question number 6, that is answer in detail. Explain the landform formed by different agents through the process of abstraction. Now basically abstraction means what? It is scratching or polishing the rocks or the surface of the rock. Okay. Now basically it is done by the agents like wind, glaciers and sea waves. They erode these surfaces, they make them smooth. Okay. And abstraction increases the velocity. Okay, abstraction is most effective in the case of waves. In the case of waves, you can see abstraction is highly developed. Where the land surface is exposed, wind can polish the rock surface through abstraction. Even the wind also leads to abstraction by polishing it. Abstraction carves the windward side of the rock into smooth sloping surface, and these rocks are called as ventifacts. Okay. Abstraction also contributes to form the mushroom rocks. So these are all the different landforms which are created because of abstraction. Okay. So even the glaciers, they move and they start eroding their particular surface. Okay. So even that is also a process of abstraction where they start making the surface smooth. Next is explain the depositional work done by river Ganga has been beneficial to human activities. Now we all know Ganga river it is the longest in India. Okay. This river has high catchment area also. Okay. Now it has several tributaries, as it is a very old river. It has several tributaries and it is a perennial river. You can see that throughout the year this river has a lot of water. Okay. There is snowfall in underwater area of this river. During the summer, the ice of the Himalayas melt and the river gets flooded in these summer. Due to large amount of sediment deposits on the river, the North Indian plain is totally fertile. Okay. So it comes to the Bay of Bengal. There is a Sundarban in the largest delta of the world. There are rare plants and Bengali trees that are found in Sundarbans. It has become a tourist attraction. Okay. The livelihood of the people living there is totally dependent on the tourism. So Ganga is a life and blood of various Indians. Okay. So the human being constructed a dam on this river and its water is used for agriculture as well as for drinking. It is also used for hydropower generation. Okay. Hence, the river Ganga is very much useful for humankind. Next is question number 3. Which agents of erosion can you see on the cover page of the textbook? So these are, you have a textbook, you have a picture on your textbook, you just have to see which are the things which you can see. So you can see river and you can tell the erosional landform, depositional landform, again wind, sea waves, groundwater. So this is totally activity based question. Next question is question number 7. Draw a neat and label diagram. First is deflation. You have to draw a diagram of deflation. Then you have to draw a diagram of wave cut platform. Then you have to draw a diagram of mushroom rock. So this is all about the exercise of lesson number 3. Okay. So diagrams along with an activity is given here. So this is the answer for the activity. You just have to observe the cover page from both the side and you have to tell about the landforms, about the agents of erosions and how the formation is done and how the depositional landforms are created. Okay, so this is all about lesson number 3. The whole exercise is completed. For 4th lesson, keep watching the channel. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe my channel.